What's up, good people? How y'all doing? Look, it's true that there's no known identity blue bloods that are right now in the Big 12, and pretty soon we're going to have some emerging. All of the members must get acclimated, and all the fans must get familiar with the inner workings of the Big 12 programs, and understand the teams and study them. And the teams that are emerging right now, you're going to see claiming some of the spots, and you're going to see other ones rising. But here, this video is about identifying the up and coming or new blue bloods of the Big 12, so everyone can understand the Big 12, and that there would be an identity to the Big 12. And that's what's missing. What is the identity of the Big 12, as far as with programs that we know that will pretty much rise to the top, hold the Big 12, compete against other conference top brands and teams, and win. And so now I'm going to share with you 5 potential schools that we could see doing that. Some of them are right up under your nose and you didn't pay attention to it. So the first one on the list is going to be BYU. Now, I know BYU get a lot of flack and, misunderstanding because they are a Christian-based school, and a lot of people have something to say about the program, and that extra attachment or affiliation is one of the reasons that they get a lot of backlash far as respectability and the competition. Okay, so BYU is emerging as one of the blue bloods or the identity of the Big 12. And even though most people will struggle with that, it's important to understand that they will have the identity of, or carry the identity of, the Big 12. Okay. The next school, which is right under our nose, that we wouldn't even think or consider that is going to carry the identity of the Big 12 and carry them. And when I say this, I'm really talking about from a football first standpoint, and really focusing on football in that aspect. The second team that you wouldn't understand would be Oklahoma State University. Okay, OSU will emerge and carry the identity of the Big 12 as a blue blood. I know they kind of fell off the radar this year, and people kind of said, where's the Big 12? Is they no longer the Big 12 as we know it, because we didn't see the original Big 12 members, competing for a Big 12 title. And in fact, they didn't even do well overall on the schedule, on their season. So this is the second blue blood of the Big 12. Okay. Now, the third blue blood of the Big 12 that is emergent, that you can see regularly, unless they have some changes to staff or other things, this next school is going to carry the identity of the Big 12 and become the new blue blood of the Big 12. Arizona State University. Arizona State University had a good start this year, or their first year in the Big 12. They did a lot of things that impressed people who did follow them, and almost shocked the world with defeating Texas. And you can see this next season, you can get ready for another round of ASU. ASU will be also carrying the identity of the Big 12, as far as a blue blood of the Big 12, to year in and year out look towards that round robin, going to the top, carrying the Big 12 into the off season. Now, these teams, or these schools that I'm talking about, are going to carry Big 12 and represent them in the off season, whether it be bowl games, playoff games, and even national title games. These are the schools that are going to represent the Big 12 consistently. Now, the 14 that is going to be an up and coming, or should I say, carrying the identity of the Big 12 as a blue blood, is Texas Tech. Okay, Texas Tech is also have been around, and they are one of the known members from the old Big 12 that we didn't see. Okay, they fell off the radar for the past couple of years, and not making an appearance competing for the Big 12 title. But it's only temporarily. They will become competing and carrying the identity of the Big 12 moving forward. That is another program that you're going to see representing the Big 12. Okay, so we got 4 programs so far. There's one more. So there's BYU, there's Arizona State University, there's Oklahoma State University, there's Texas Tech, and there's one more school that is going to emerge and become carrying the Big 12, representing the Big 12, and making a mark in postseason, okay, for the Big 12, which will be a new, okay, up and coming blue blood for the Big 12. And when you think of the Big 12, you're going to think of this school as well. And that is, I know some of y'all are going to say, I bet he say, yes, you got it right, the University of Houston. Now, why do I say this? Because the University of Houston has always, if you could just do your research, it didn't matter what conference they were in, okay, through their history of existence, they've always elevated themselves and became a blue blood of every conference they were in. Period. This is just the history of the program. Now, it may take them some time, but once they get to where they going, they usually flourish to the top. Period. That's just the history of the school. And I'm here and proud to say that the University of Houston is going to be a known identity that carries the Big 12. And when you think of the Big 12, that is going to be a blue blood that you can consistently know the Big 12 as. Now, that's 5 programs that are going to be the identity of the Big 12. And we're talking about football. And any given year, okay, those programs are going to take turns and fluctuate. Some year maybe two teams or 2 programs out of that particular year. Some years it may be another 2 out of that particular year. And so those are the 5 programs that are going to emerge as the blue bloods of the Big 12. And people are going to recognize these programs as, oh, that's the Big 12 right there. When you speak of Houston, the Houston Cougars or the University of Houston, when you speak of Arizona State, ASU, when you speak of Texas Tech, when you speak of OSU, when you speak of BYU, those are the 5 schools that are emerging as the blue bloods. Now, some of you are going to be in opposition of what I said, okay? Some of you are going to be like, what about TCU? What about West Virginia? What about Arizona? What about the other schools? The issue with that is you got to look at the market size. You got to look at recruiting, the recruiting hot spots and recruiting bed. You got to look at the revenue that is being put into these programs and schools. And you got to look at the fan base. In other words, you got to look at the alumni. Okay. And when you compile all those things, then you could see how these programs will pretty much do well and perform in each year, year in and year out. Okay, you can look for those 5 schools to be at the top of the Big 12, and you're going to see that every year. Okay, by the end of the year, it's going to be one of those 5 schools winning the championship in football. One of those 5, I guarantee you, whether it's Texas Tech, whether it's Oklahoma State, whether it's BYU, whether it's ASU, or whether it's Houston. These are the programs to look out for in football moving forward. Period. Not BYU. Not Baylor. No hate to Baylor, but I don't see them consistently, because they've been in the Big 12 all this time, and you really didn't really hear much about their football. Okay, when Art Browse was there, yeah, a little bit, but after that, nothing. So that's why we're not talking about Baylor. Arizona State or Arizona, okay, they have a lot of adjustments to do. They're gonna be consistent in basketball, but we're talking about football. Okay, TCU, they had they shot, when they made it to the playoffs, and they made it all the way to the semifinals, and then they end up losing. Okay, it's almost like that's like a once in every 10 year for them. Another program that wasn't discussed was the Kansas schools. Okay, we always known Kansas to be a basketball school, and football was always rebuilding. I'm not saying they're not going to be able to make it to bowl games, but we're talking about blue blood recognized football. They've always been in the Big 12, and we never known Kansas to be a football school in the sense of competing for titles within the football realm of the Big 12. Same with Kansas State. Now, Kansas State has competed, and yes, they have good teams every year, every other year, but it just seems like they never can get past that 9-win season to where they're able to compete in the title game and win. We don't know Kansas State as that. Now, they do have a history of competing in the Big 12, but never just going all the way. And we know they solid. They're going to be able to beat SEC teams, so on and so forth. So they don't have that experience. So that's why I didn't mention Kansas State. I would love to put them there, but it seems like when they get there, they tend to do things that, put them out. Same with West Virginia. West Virginia is a good brand, but it seems like they can't get past that hurdle that's in front of them at the 9-win mark, to where they can compete and win as a champion in the Big 12. Okay, UCF, powerful alumni power. I would have almost included them, but it seems like they're struggling. Now, they'll eventually find their way at some point. Now, they have potential. They would be that additional 6th school that we can throw in. When they do get it right, we will be able to throw UCF in there. We will be able to do that in football, but they got some things they need to do. Now, I believe that covered all 16. You got the original Pac-12, the original 6 from the Big 12, and then the other 4. So yes, I believe that covered everybody, but you can look each year for Arizona State, the University of Houston, Oklahoma State, BYU, and Texas Tech to be competing each year for the Big 12 title and carrying the identity of the Big 12, as well as people recognizing the Big 12 when you see those schools emerging as the new blue bloods of the Big 12, because that's what's people waiting to see, which schools are going to be the new blue bloods of the Big 12. And those are going to be the schools. And in some years, we're going to be able to throw in UCF. But once again, thank you all for watching. Till next time, have a great day.